The majority of guys are addicted to unhealthy behaviors and lack self-control. They play video games, consume weed, or browse social media like zombies with no consciousness. You won't be youthful forever. One day your energy will start to fade. When that time arrives, you'll either look back on your life with pride or regret and humiliation. I apologize for my harsh tone, but when I look back on my life, I was the guy who had no control over anything. I had all the worst behaviors you can imagine, but all changed when I understood that a tiny rat was in charge of my thoughts. So I domesticated the rat and took back control of my life. You may think I'm kidding, but I'm not. There is a tiny rat within your head that pushes you toward bad habits and keeps away from your potential. It is not a real live rat roaming around inside your brain. It's a region of your brain known as the reptilian brain that chases your most primal desires, and it makes us move without intention. You see anything in the modern world that has the potential to become addictive. There is someone in the background taking advantage of you and knowing that you have a rat brain. This person is forcing you to go into autopilot mode and develop bad habits that will waste your potential. But this time, I'll show you how to overcome this and take charge of your life. For some time, see your life as a book full with interesting tales, skills acquired, and adventures. Visualize social media as a virtual library, where millions of stories are shared moment by moment. Pretty exciting, right? However, there's a small risk here: continual comparison. As we turn the glossy pages of these digital stories, we often find ourselves comparing our most difficult chapters with other people's bright points. This comparison, which is frequently unfair and exaggerated, can send us into a downward spiral of envy and discontent. In light of this, we must learn to restrict the amount of these digital stories we consume. Consider choosing to come to this virtual library with a specific goal in mind. You go in, get exactly what you're looking for, maybe a connection, ideas, knowledge, and then you walk out, going back to the world that is your own book, your life. But how would one actually go about doing this? Instead of becoming hooked on social media constantly, start by allocating certain times of the day to check it, whether it's for breakfast, a work break, or the conclusion of the day. This assists in establishing a framework that keeps social media from taking over your thoughts and time. By implementing these techniques, you can safeguard your mental well-being and rediscover the beauty of your own narrative without always comparing it to that of others. Recall that every person has a distinct journey to travel, one that is full of highs and lows, victories and setbacks. This is precisely why every story, including yours, is so priceless and original. We are now going to discuss something that is frequently disregarded in our day-to-day interactions, but it has a big influence on our health and the connections we build. This section will examine how making the decision to refrain from engaging in certain behaviors might enhance our relationships and our mental health. Consider each word we say as a seed we sow in our own and other people's gardens. When we speak with words of encouragement, support, and optimism, we sow the seeds of compassion and empathy. On the other hand, when we gossip or speak negatively, we sow the seeds of miscommunication, mistrust, and conflict. While engaging in gossip may appear innocent or even like a way to socialize, however, in practice, it's a two-way street that ends in disapproval and a depreciation of both ourselves and other people. Furthermore, when we dwell on negativity, we support a way of thinking that limits our capacity to recognize the goodness and good in the world. How then may we take a different route and make a better positive action? First and foremost, it's critical to pay attention to the discussions we have. If a conversation deviates into unwarranted criticism or gossip, consider gently shifting the topic or emphasizing something positive about the individual or circumstance. Furthermore, work on your empathy. Consider asking yourself, would I want this to be said about me? Before speaking or sharing something about someone. This straightforward query might serve as a useful guide to ensure that our discussions are civil and fruitful. Every individual has a unique journey, set of accomplishments, and successes that should be appreciated independently of one another. Comparing our life to those of others is a bad habit that may hinder our own development and have a detrimental effect on our emotional health. Furthermore, it depresses us, since we run the risk of suffering from the negative comparison trap and concentrating on our perceived shortcomings, rather than appreciating our own advantages and accomplishments. We lose sight of our own objectives and aspirations and become sidetracked from what really matters when we compare ourselves to others all the time. Instead, We concentrate on what we believe we should have or do based on other people's expectations. This keeps us from progressing on our own path and realizing our personal objectives. We can learn to be grateful for our own circumstances and celebrate our own growth and achievement by doing away with comparison. Recall that everyone has their own special circumstances and manner of being, and it is neither fair nor healthy to compare oneself to others. Everybody has unique life paths, problems, and strengths. It is more beneficial to concentrate on our own growth and learning rather than comparing ourselves to others. Don't pass judgment on so-and-so in front of others. As a matter of fact, you ought to be free of such thoughts altogether. When you speak poorly of someone, you should really think about the impression you are giving off. You could have enriched the topic or had an exciting exchange, but you choose to ruin the mood to express your negative feelings about that individual. I beg you not to do it. Avoid announcing your preferences for people. You can choose to keep your distance from someone you don't like, or you can make an effort to live in harmony with them while acting wisely at all times. If there's an issue with that person, attempt to communicate, have a discussion, and find a solution. But you should throw aside these beliefs and assessments you have about other people right now. As previously stated, always behave politely, demonstrating your ability to adjust to your surroundings, change, and engage with people despite your own preferences for or dislikes toward them. A more peaceful atmosphere and stronger interpersonal relationships can result from acting with empathy and respect in all of your encounters. It's important to keep intimate details private and avoid venting to people about the reasons behind a friendship or relationship breakup. You and the other person engaged own the intimacy you share. Others don't need to understand it. Nobody should be made aware of fighting or other unpleasant circumstances because this will just fuel rumors and worsen the problem. Consider what occurred and have a discussion with yourself if you feel the need to vent. It is appropriate to study these behaviors in private without disclosing them to others, regardless of the circumstances. It is imperative that you end any bad relationships in your life without telling anyone about them. The healing and acceptance process will be aided by keeping these things private and addressing the problems on an internal level. Respect everyone's right to privacy and dignity, and use caution and discernment to look after your own emotional needs. Time to take action now. After watching this video, you have no more reasons to be miserable. You realize that all of your excuses and bad habits originate from the reptile brain, so tame it. By the way, if you want to advance in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like button and the subscribe button.